What is good? What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Ferris Muthana, and welcome to another edition of our college football roundup show. Good friends, better rivals, and I'm never alone. I hear always here, always with me is my good friend, but my better rival, the one, the only, Caleb Ochoa. Caleb, how are you, my man?
I'm good. I'm good. All my teams will keep winning. We just keep winning.
Not next week.
One,
Next
baby.
week. Next week, one of your teams is going down. And
No.
me and you will talk about it next Thursday. Well, next Thursday. Yes, next Thursday. We're gonna talk about it next Thursday. Yeah, but it's going down. It's going down like Nino Brown. I want you to know that. But guys, you know what it is. What's happening? You guys are watching this on a Wednesday. We're talking college football all the time. And let's start talking about right away the number one team in the nation. Alabama was against Ole Miss. It was one of the games of the weeks, and we were in for a good surprise. Some of it not good for the Ole Miss fans, some of it very good for the Alabama fans, but extremely disappointing to everybody else. Alabama beats Ole Miss 42-21, and they just keep trucking on. And they're just better. They're just better. And here's the thing too with Ole Miss. They went for it on both of those 2 fourth downs, and they didn't get them. So that's when I think like their momentum completely shot. Were shot. Like it's all done. What do you think, Caleb, when you were watching that game?
That this is getting ugly, and it's like the Ole Miss shouldn't even have a chance in the first half because they took a commanding lead in the first half, and then they just kind of went on cruise control for the rest of the game.
And they still couldn't win. They still couldn't win.
Yeah, Ole Miss had their chances. I mean, they try to get back in the game, but I mean it's Alabama, man. I mean, what are you gonna do? They look so much better than. I mean, they're number Mississippi 12. Like they're a good team, and yet you can't even do anything to them. Like you can't even touch them. Like that's how good Alabama is. Like it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous because here's the thing, man. Like they just so Ole Miss came out with this new defense called a 3-2-6. It's designed to stop spread offenses. So what Alabama decided to do was we're gonna run the ball with our four-star running backs. Shea McClendon, Brian Robinson Jr., Trey Saunders. They just kept running the ball. Unfortunately, Trey McClendon got hurt in the game, so he won't be there for Nick Saban said it's going to be a good while till he comes back. But they still have Brian Robinson. He's not the shiftiest running back, but he's very good. Brian Robinson Jr. and Trey Sanders. Like those are still great running backs. At least they have more come like backing up, And they just ran on them. Pretty much. And Bryce Young he got the juice, man.
Yeah.
He's special.
But is he though? Because we've seen great Alabama quarterbacks, and they're not looking so hot in the NFL now.
Well, they're still one of them's a rookie, and the other two are in their second year.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't tell if he's like so special or not because you have so much talent around him because you play Alabama.
Here's the thing, though, Caleb. Here's the difference between him and the other 3 quarterbacks at Alabama. He's the only one out of all 4 of them that was deemed the best coming out of high school. When they were coming out of high school, there was other quarterbacks just as good as them. And Jalen Hurts wasn't even he was like a top 10 quarterback, but he wasn't like at the top. You know what I mean? Like he was there, but he wasn't really there. And Tua, it was him, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields, I believe. Like that's what it was. Or was Tua a year ahead of them? I think Tua was a year ahead of them. But the thing is, they weren't as highly touted as he was. He was deemed he got next. Him, that guy. Him and DJ Uiagalelei. It was them two. Him and DJ. Yeah, he doesn't look very. Yeah, he looks lost. Clemson looks lost. We'll talk about how Clemson looked in a couple of times, man. But yeah, he was deemed. This is the guy. This is him. He's the guy. The other 3 weren't deemed the guy. They were in a class, and because they went to Alabama, people looked at them. But he was said, this is the guy. You want this guy. Get him. And Alabama went after him. And they wanted him. And that's why he's different. Because here's the thing too, man. He's 5'11". And nowadays we know like 5'11" don't mean anything anymore. You're not too short anymore. Man has a howitzer in his arm.
Yeah.
He can throw. He can throw the ball.
And Kyle Murray's lighting up the league right now. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think like same thing with Kyler Murray. When he was coming out of high school, that's the guy. This is the kid who in Texas never lost a game and won 4 straight state titles. That kid, in the highest level of Texas state football, he got next. You know what I mean? He went to Texas A&M because Texas A&M was recruiting everyone in the state of Texas, and they got everybody. But he realized, no, this isn't the place to be. I'm going to Oklahoma, and he went to Oklahoma. And look at what he's doing now. Hey man, I'm high on the Rams, but my prediction of the Rams isn't looking good because of the Cardinals, because of Kyler Murray, and that's who Bryce Young is. He's the difference maker. He is the key. He is the key. And that's why Alabama beat the living smack out of Ole Miss, man.
I've been beating everybody like that.
Well, yeah, for the past 2 years, you're absolutely correct. Well, speaking of someone getting their butt whooped, and we thought it was going to be a good game, Georgia Arkansas was another game of the week that we want to talk about. Georgia has only given up 20 points all season. Let me repeat this, Caleb. Georgia is 5-0 and has only given up 20 points in 5 games. 20 points in 5 games, man. If I told you that was going to happen in the first 5 games of Georgia, what would you have said?
I can believe it because I think Georgia's always like a good defensive team, but so I probably would believe it. Mm-hmm. It's because I respect what Georgia does, and I know they're known for good defenses. But what was interesting about this game, what it surprised me, did not expect this outcome or this type of game at all. I mean, I really thought after we got our ass kicked by Arkansas, I thought they'd be a lot better than this, a lot better. But
here's the thing, Caleb. Is Arkansas bad or is Georgia that special?
They might. I think Georgia might be that special. I mean, we'll see. We'll see when that Alabama
next
Georgia
week.
Game.
Well, we'll see next week, man. What if Arkansas beats the living snot out of the team they face next week?
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I think Georgia's just special, man. Like Shane Beamer, the head coach of South Carolina, was asked how do you beat this team? And he's like, you can't.
Yeah.
They have 15 5-star recruits on their defensive side alone. Those kids are going to the NFL.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what
better players. That's it. There's no scheming. There's nothing you can do. They just have bigger, stronger, faster, better players. That's it.
And they lost one of their star receivers before the season, George Pickens Jr.
Mm-hmm.
They lost him, so they're actually down a weapon.
And they play without JT Daniels in this game.
See, he who was it? Was it Stetson Benton, right? Bennett.
Yes, Bennett. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bennett started this game in the UAB game, and they blew out both teams. And JT Daniels, they're just bringing him on gently because he's gonna be needed for the big games down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It didn't matter who was quarterback because all he did was run the ball the whole goddamn game.
Yeah, man.
They crushed him with the run game.
Exactly. The Dogs had 4 running backs rush for more than 45 yards. James Cook led the way with 87 yards. So they had 4 running backs, just an entire rush game.
273 total.
Yeah. All 4 running backs had runs of 10 yards or longer. And it's just they're just pounding people's faces in. That's pretty much what it is, just pounding people's faces in. They're going to run the ball on you. And guess what? So is Alabama. But Alabama has the quarterback to be the X factor. I think that's what's the difference between those two teams. The quarterback. The X factor is Bryce Young. He's the X factor in this case. And it's funny, too, if they meet they don't face each other in the league, right? They're going to face each other in the SEC championship game, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And probably again in the playoffs.
Here's a storyline to watch, Caleb. Bryce Young backed up JT Daniels at Modern Day High School. They both were on the team that won multiple state titles. Bryce, JT, Alabama, Georgia. Boom. That's the game that's going to be on the radar. It's going to happen more than once. Because let's be real, man. The loser of that game in the SEC championship is going to drop to 4, and that's all they can drop. Those 2 teams are better than the other teams in the top 25. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And Georgia just beating up on people, man.
Yeah. And this is why it was so surprising, because I wasn't the only one that was high on Arkansas right now.
Everyone was.
Yeah, because this game was at 19. It was the point spread was minus 19 on Georgia, and it was bet down to 16 and a half, which means there was a lot of money on Arkansas to at least cover spread. It didn't mean they're gonna win, but at least to be competitive. And this game wasn't even competitive. I mean, they got blown out and scored not 1 point. It was pretty embarrassing. Like nobody really expected that. That's what I'm saying. Nobody. This wasn't like supposed to happen. And really, I think it came down to that Georgia blocked that punt early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think after that, Arkansas was like, yeah, we ain't gonna do nothing in this game. This is over. Like that early in the game.
I mean, honestly, dude, like the top three teams, Alabama, Georgia, and the new number 3 team in the nation, Iowa. This week was blowout city. Iowa was against Maryland on Friday. They beat Maryland 51-14. And here's the thing about Iowa, man. They always do this every single year. It's always for the first 2 to 3 years, they're not very good. And then when their kids are seniors and juniors, they have this great season. They go 11-0. They make it to the Rose Bowl. They go 11-2 or 11-1. You know what I mean? Remember that year where it was Iowa versus Michigan State, and the winner of that game was gonna make it to the college football playoff, but then like Alabama beat the living snot out of Michigan State. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Iowa that year had a great season where they beat Ohio State. They beat them soundly. I think JT Barrett threw 3 interceptions, and Iowa beat them in Iowa in Kinnick Stadium, beat them down. You know what I mean? And every single year they do this, man. They do this, and it's crazy, bro. Because next week is going to be a big game on Fox. Iowa, Penn State. Penn State, the number 4th ranked team in the nation. It's going to be that's going to be game. That's going to be a great game to watch. It's going to be 1:00 on the West Coast. No, wait, is it 1:00 on the West Coast? Yes, 1:00 on the West Coast. Yeah.
We'll see if they're for real.
Yeah, well, they'll be for real. Because
I don't think they are. I think Penn State's gonna, beat them.
Ooh. I think Iowa's gonna beat them because it's at home. That's
I don't think it matters. I just don't think I think they're looking good, but I don't think they really are that good.
Hey man, I think them and Penn State are the same team. They look very good, but they're not that good. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing, dude. And here's the thing too, man. 2 SEC teams, 2 Big Ten teams in the top 4. So 2-2. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Now let's move on to Iowa's next week opponent. Penn State. They shut out Indiana, 24-0.
Yeah.
Jahad Dotson is literally their entire offense. Just pass it to Jahad, and he'll just let it go. And I think that's why Penn State's going to lose next week. All you have to do is stop Jahad Dotson. That's it. And you're moving on. What about you, Caleb?
No, I mean, I have a higher opinion on Penn State. I think they took it to Auburn. I think after that, after that game, that's all. I think that I much higher opinion of them than you do, because the quarterback Clifford is pretty damn good too. He's not. I don't trust him.
I don't trust him.
You don't trust him? I mean, he doesn't look like all the other Penn State quarterbacks that they had in the past.
Well, like Christian Hackenberg.
Yeah, he looked better than that dude. That dude sucked.
No, Christian Hackenberg in college was very good.
No, he wasn't. He had a completion percent that was lower than like 60%. I mean, he's awful.
Yeah, I shouldn't have used Christian Hackenberg. Trace McSorley was good.
No, he wasn't. He's a runner.
He was fine.
He wasn't a passer.
You don't need to be a passer in college to be a good quarterback.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. This guy actually can pass. He threw 3 touchdowns. Like, this guy's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I know, but if it's just Clifford to Dotson, they're one-trick ponies. All you have to do is just drop 8 in coverage. You know what I mean?
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
Hey, man, next week's gonna be a big game between those 2 teams. And now, Caleb, the number 5th ranked team in the nation, the team that I love. Go Bearcats! Rawr.
How do you love it? You love every team. You got Oregon, you got this team. Like, you got no team. What do you mean the team you love?
Hey, man, I root for the underdogs. I root for the underdogs, man.
No, this is my team. This is my other team that I've been keeping a close eye on for a couple years now.
Who?
Cincinnati.
Fuck you, man. I've been on the Cincinnati bandwagon since they got Desmond Ritter.
No,
Screw
I've
you,
been
man.
on that bandwagon. You jumped on my bandwagon.
I created the bandwagon. I built it myself.
No, I'm driving the goddamn thing.
You got bucked off, homie. The Bearcats, man. I'm rolling with the Bearcats, but Luke Fickell,
and it was because Desmond Ritter, because that dude, I'm liking that dude.
Myjai Saunders is pretty damn good. Number 21, he pretty damn good too, Caleb. If you know about them, you know he's the second best player. Did you know about Myjai Saunders? Did you know about Myjai Saunders?
I don't need to know about him. I don't need to know about him. But he's the second I just need to know about Desmond Ritter. That's it. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know.
Because you're absent-minded, bro. I mean, they just had the biggest win in their program history. They beat their former coach who brought them to prominence. Brian Kelly, who used to coach them, who got them to I think about a 12 or 11 win season with I think it was Tony Pike. That was their quarterback, Tony Pike. They faced Florida in the Sugar Bowl. Florida beat them down. That was Alabama's first year of winning the national title with Mark Ingram and Greg McElroy. But Florida beat them down, and then they had to fall back. And then they got Butch Jones. Butch Jones spent 3 years, and then Butch Jones left to Tennessee, completely imploded because Butch Jones apparently wasn't really that good of a coach. And then they brought this dude. His name was Luke Fickell. If you guys know who Luke Fickell is, he was the coach who replaced Jim Tressel when Jim Tressel took the blame for the players trading in their memorabilia for tattoo favors. Luke Fickell goes 6-7. Yeah, they are expensive. Luke Fickell goes 6-7 in his first season as Ohio State's head coach. Ohio State athletic director relieves him of his duty. Gene Smith hires Urban Meyer, and the rest is history. But here's the thing that people don't really know about Luke Fickell. Urban Meyer kept him on and was the co-defensive coordinator for the team. And all Luke Fickell, I was reading a story about Luke Fickell. All Luke Fickell did when he was there, he worked. He just worked. And he kept working. He worked and worked and worked and worked. And then finally, the Cincinnati job opened up. And Mike Braun, who is the AD at USC, which is why people keep talking about Luke Fickell to USC, hires him. And he turns the Bearcats back around. It was like when UCF was on their run, that undefeated run. There was one team. There's two teams that give them fits. Two teams. Memphis and Cincinnati. And I remember one game, Cincinnati against UCF, was one of the best games I ever watched. It was back and forth, high tension, high octane football. I believe UCF won that game. I don't know for a fact. But I think it was that's how close it was. I don't know who won that game, but it was extremely close. Now Cincinnati's going to the Big 12. And Luke Fickell's the main reason why this team is where it's at. He works. He puts his head down, he puts his sweater vest on, and he just plows through and he works. He's a former nose guard at the University of Ohio State. Because he works. He once played a bowl game with a torn pectoral. Because he works. And that's why the Cincinnati Bearcats, I think, will make the college football playoff.
I hope so. I think they will too.
Yes. Your thoughts on the Cincinnati Bearcats, Caleb?
About this game?
About that game against Notre Dame.
Okay. This game. I was like I've been saying, Notre Dame was a fraud. Like don't deserve to be in top 10. They're not a top 10 team. They're like I said, they were a bunch of posers. And even the odds makers agreed because on the road, Cincinnati was the favorite -2. So the odd makers agreed that Notre Dame wasn't good. And and Cincinnati showed them they're not good because they kicked their ass. And I don't know if the Jack Cohn, like was he taken out or was he just hurt or something?
He was taken out. They replaced him.
Because he was bad. Like he went in, he was garbage. Back up, wasn't that much better, and that's why they lost. I mean, and I like that Desmond Ritter becoming more of a passer, less relying on his running. Because in early his career, he was all about his running. Mm-hmm. And now he looking good with his passing. But yeah, the Cincinnati was pretty much dominating the first half. Like they went up like 17-0, like right there. Um, they but even in the second half, Cincinnati gave them chances because they turned over the ball like 2 straight times, and Notre Dame didn't even take advantage of that. So I mean, this was a complete domination on Cincinnati's part.
Well, yeah, man. Here's the thing, man. Notre Dame has been frauds for the past 20 years.
Yep.
They haven't done anything in the past 20 years. Brady Quinn, nothing. Tommy Reese, nothing. Everett Goldson, they got blown out by Alabama in that national title. Nothing. What's his face? Ian Book, nothing. Like they're done. Notre Dame's done. They're done. I will never pick them in anything, dude. Big games, they don't show up. This was a big game. And
Yep.
it felt like Cincinnati knew that and Notre Dame didn't. And Myjai Saunders beat them down on the defensive line. They couldn't guard him. And Desmond Ridder, big time players make big time plays in big time games. And that's who Desmond Ridder was. Notre Dame needs to get their act together or they're done. And that's the thing. They're not going to get their act together because they don't know what their act is. They don't know what they are. And like it's done. Like I don't get it. Because Brian Kelly's a good coach. He's a good coach. Let's not act like he's not a good coach. He's a good coach. Something is just fundamentally wrong with Notre Dame. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly.
Recruit the players. They can't recruit the players that they used to. Like Notre Dame isn't the brand it was. Like that's something that they don't have the players or the talent to compete with the best teams in college football. That's why they always get their ass kicked all the time every time they put in the top 10 and they're against a top 10 team.
Yeah. I think we've made it abundantly clear that Cincinnati is dope, and Notre Dame isn't. It's made very abundantly clear. Now let's transition, Caleb, to the number 6 ranked team in the nation, the weirdest 5-0 team I've ever met in my entire life, the Oklahoma Sooners. I don't get them. I don't understand them at all.
Well, they're a Big 12 team. That's what they are.
That's what they are.
And that's how they kind of play with no defense. All these crappy teams score a ton of points on them. They play some good old Big 12 defense.
Yeah,
but,
man.
They struggled in every single game, except for like the one, but that's from a nobody school. But against even these regular, just average schools, they're just letting them stay with them. Like I don't get it. I don't get how they're just struggling with these teams.
Like
they should be way better than. Well, I get one reason. One reason is Spencer Rattler just isn't that good. That's one reason.
Yeah. Caleb, am I good? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So here's the thing. So Tulane, prime example is Tulane. They were blowing Tulane out. Tulane loses by 5 because Tulane comes back on them, and Tulane almost won the game at the end. It almost won the game. So you're like, whoa. That's the thing. They beat Kansas State by 6, and they were beating Kansas State soundly, but Kansas State came back. Like, hey man, Caleb, I'm about to say it's gonna be music to your ears. Texas has a shot to beating them next week.
Well, I think we will.
You know what? I think you are. You know why? Because you're gonna have the best player in the game at tailback. He's the best player. Bijan Robinson. He's better than Spencer Rattler. He's better than your quarterbacks. He's better than Nick Bonito. He's the better. He's the best football player that's going to be on the field. And Oklahoma needs to stop him. But guess what? They're not. They're not going to. Texas is going to win. And Oklahoma is going to fall out of the top 10.
Yeah.
Like literally, dude, and they're all, and their defense gets lucky. Like a couple of, like their turnover base. That's not a good defense. If you heavily rely on turnovers, you made a team that's not turning the ball over, you're screwed. And and that's the thing with college. Most of these defenses they're turnover based. They're not actually good defenses. Like we need to create turnovers. And in college, it happens more often because these are kids. They make mistakes all the time. Like a quarterback throws 2 to 3 interceptions or like a couple of
Yeah.
fumbles, and you get a bunch of turnovers.
Because you can score fast. Like in college football, you score like
Exactly.
that, so it doesn't matter if you turn the ball over a few times.
Exactly. So Oklahoma's not winning next week. Yeah, I'm with you, Caleb. Hook 'em. Hook 'em. Hook 'em. They're beating Oklahoma. Like it's like this is not something you can argue. This they're and if they don't, if Oklahoma beats them, then Texas is horrible. Okay, that's just a fact. All right, Texas better win next week. Like they better win.
We
Like,
would.
okay, I'm just saying. I mean, the number seventh ranked team in the nation, Ohio State is bounce back because after losing to Oregon, and they were against Rutgers this week, and it's Rutgers.
Yeah.
Like they've been beating Rutgers by 40 every single time since Rutgers joined the Big Ten. Like one year they dropped 60 points on them, and it's nothing really much to say.
No.
CJ Stroud came back. He threw for 330 and 5 touchdowns, but that's Rutgers. I expect you to do that. I expect you to dominate them. So it's nothing really big that, um, you know, the defense got 3 interceptions. They played better, but it's against Rutgers. So it is what it is. Let's move on. Oh, there's not really much to say about Ohio State, to be honest. Unless you have something. Do you have something to say about Ohio State?
No, not for this game.
No. All right, man. Now let's talk about the former number 3 ranked team in the nation. Fell all the way down to 8, and
Should be lower.
shut your mouth. All right. Shut up. Here's the thing. Yes, we were screwed on that play. We were. But no, we were. But it shouldn't have been at that point. The game, we lost it before that play even happened. I get the play happened and we got screwed. I get it. But we shouldn't have been in that position in the first place.
Didn't they start with turning the ball over like twice in the beginning of the game?
Yes. And then we bounced back in the second half, and it looked like that Oregon was taking control of the game and they were moving forward. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But against Stanford, these two teams, I don't understand these two teams whatsoever. They always screw each other over.
And it's funny because Stanford, starts off the season pretty bad, and then they kick USC's ass, and then they beat Oregon. Like, what the hell?
Exactly, dude. Legitimately, dude. These two teams, they screw each other over more often than not. Like literally, dude. Like they ruin each other's seasons. It's just auras about these. Like Oregon, as an undefeated Oregon team, is 6-6 against Stanford. 6-6 as an undefeated Oregon team. 6-6 apparently. That's the stat that ESPN gave me or something like that. It was 6-5. Now it's 6-6 because of this game. But here's the thing too, man. Cavante Thibodeau not being in the game it hindered the pass rush. But also CJ Verdell's leg injury is significant. So we lost our starting running back. Yes, I'm saying we because this is my team. I am an Oregon.
This is your team? That's Cincinnati is your team.
I root for the underdogs, but Oregon's always been my team. This is my team right here. And the problem is, even without, the game shouldn't have been at that point. Yes, they blew the call. It wasn't holding because the receiver was wide open and he dropped the ball. He didn't catch it. But it shouldn't have been to that point. Oregon made too many mental mistakes. The previous drive, the drive right before Stanford's drive, they had 2 false start penalties. Back to back.
Yeah.
20 yards. It was 1st and 20. No. 1st and 30. You can't make those type of mistakes. Oregon, we lost that game prior to the final call being blown. The final call was blown, but the game was over by then because we didn't deserve to win that game because we were making too many mistakes. And people have been saying, hey, we need to get rid of Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown, no one was saying this after he beat Ohio State. What changed? He's good enough to beat Ohio State, but he's not good enough to lead us throughout the season. What is it? He had a bad game against Stanford. Yes, I agree. He made mistakes. But yeah, but which college kid doesn't?
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence made mistakes. Justin Fields made mistakes. Tua made mistakes. Jalen Hurts made mistakes. Like, and Anthony Brown isn't them. He's just your regular old college quarterback. He made a mistake. He should have given the ball to the running back instead of keeping it at the goal line and getting stuffed. I understand. But he can beat Ohio State, and Anthony Brown looks like a god. Well, no, I can't say god because there's only one god. He looks very good, but now he's not. No. We need to get rid of him. What? 2 weeks? Really? It literally took out 2 weeks to be like, we need to get rid of Anthony Brown? Because I remember that there was one play where against Ohio State, he zips the ball on the line, and it hits the receiver right in his hands, and the receiver just drops it. Did he miss? Did he miss open receivers? Absolutely. What quarterback hasn't? Tell me a quarterback who hasn't, and I'll show you you're a liar. Like, tell me, Caleb. Tell me if I'm wrong. Great quarterbacks. Right, yeah. Like, that's the thing, bro. Like, literally, dude, 2 weeks. It went from he's looking good to we need to get rid of Anthony Brown. And here's the thing: the other two kids couldn't beat him in camp.
Yeah.
If they couldn't beat him in camp, how are they going to help us? Like, that's the thing.
But I mean, Texas helped out Texas to switch quarterbacks, so you never know.
No, see, here's the thing with Texas, Caleb. It was made abundantly clear the quarterback doesn't matter. Just give it to number 5.
Well, I think it does matter. I think we could have been in the game at Arkansas if we started Casey Thompson.
You guys lost that Arkansas game because you didn't give Bijan Robinson the ball early.
No, because the other quarterback couldn't do anything. He literally couldn't make a pass completion.
Yeah, and then they stacked the box against Bijan Robinson, and they stuffed it. Okay, I got your point. But still,
Oregon, I'm not saying you should do that in Oregon. I'm just saying, like, that's why fans think that, because in college there's like so many. You have so many quarterbacks that you can. There's so many players on a college football team. Yeah. Like, they just always want the backup. Like, yeah, you just put another guy, the freshman.
The major Applewhite situation. It's like the major Applewhite Chris Sims situation, where Applewhite came in, looked very good. People are like, oh, replace Sims with Applewhite, and then the famous Applewhite Sims incident
happens to Jalen and Tua. There's tons of situations that it happens, and it just that's why fans think that okay, you just get into
Fromm and Fields, you know, and Georgia, like they should have started Justin Fields over Jake Fromm, but you know, it is what it is, you know. All right, now the number 9 ranked team of the nation, it is the Michigan Wolverines. Everyone thought this was going to be a trap game because this always happens to Jim Harbaugh. He always faces one of the premier programs in the Big Ten, unranked or ranked, and he always loses them. You're in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's unranked. You could be lollygagging in the game. Jim Harbaugh was like, nope, we're going to beat them 38-17, and we're going to embarrass them at home. Yeah. Caleb, do you think Michigan's turning the page?
I don't know. I mean, they haven't played a top team, so you can't say. I mean, I think the turning the page would be Ohio State. That's turning the page because they haven't been able to do that. You do that, then I can say, yeah, Jim Harbaugh. This is a new Michigan team. That's ready to do something different. But the Wisconsin just has bad offense. I mean, they've shown it all season. They just said no offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty bad over there.
But they're allergic to offense, to be honest.
Yeah. But it's good to see them, well, at least for now, that Michigan, that Jim Harbaugh's got them rolling. But we'll see if that continues. I mean, I can't say either way right now.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they were competitive against Ohio State was the famous JT Barrett incident where he was a yard short, or like he just got it. Was he a yard short? Was he not a yard short? It looked like he was short to me, to be honest with you. It looked like JT Barrett was short, and it should have been Michigan's ball, but the refs give it to Ohio State. It is what it is. And I remember it was like Wilton Spaeth, like that was the starting quarterback. And I think that's the difference here. Cade McNamara and J.G. McCarthy played very well for the Michigan Wolverines. But here's the thing. He's going to back to what made him successful at Stanford. Why was he successful at Stanford, Caleb?
Who's that?
Jim Harbaugh. Why was he successful at Stanford?
Because he had a quarterback. He had Andrew Luck.
He didn't have Andrew Luck for 40 years. He had Andrew Luck for 1 year. Then he left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He only had Andrew Luck for like his freshman or sophomore year.
Okay.
It was like 1 or 2 years. They ran the ball. Toby Gerhart.
Oh yeah, Toby Gerhart.
Toby Gerhart. Yes. Yeah. And that's what Michigan's doing. They're running the ball. They're pounding it in. They are making sure we are going to run the ball. And their defense has improved. Last year, they were 89th in yards allowed and 47th in points allowed. This year, they're 4th in points allowed and 34th in yards allowed. You know what I mean? It's bend, not break. But it's not a bad bend. You know what I mean? They're 34th. Could they improve? Yes. But they're 4th in points, so you can't really score on them. But we'll see against Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State this year, will they be playing better? Because next week they're against Nebraska. That's not going to tell us much. It's Nebraska. You know what I mean? No offense to you. No offense to Delia. Nebraska sucks. Even though they beat Northwestern by what? 40?
He doesn't care about Nebraska.
Who?
Delia doesn't care about Nebraska.
I know, but she lives in Nebraska, so she has to care about Nebraska to find out the mood of the town. You know what I mean? Because if they lose, the mood in the town is horrible. But if they win, the mood of the town is good. I know she's a Colorado Buffs fan because she's from Colorado, but still, she needs to be careful because she's a Buffs fan and she lives in Nebraska who hate the Buffs. You know what I mean? So she needs to learn the flow of town. And she's not a Colorado Buffs fan. All right, stand corrected. Stand corrected. She's not a Colorado Buffs fan. She doesn't like college football anyway, to be honest with you. Yeah. All right, Caleb. Now we talk about the other Cinderella team in the nation, the Independent. Good old BYU. They're 5-0. They beat Utah State 34-20. They're looking good. They are the Pac-12 South champion because they're just beating all the Pac-12 South teams. Arizona State, Arizona, UCLA, USC.
That's because Pac-12 sucks.
No, you suck. Okay, you watch your mouth.
A bunch of garbage football over there.
You're a Big 12 fan. All the teams suck.
No, they don't. They good offenses.
Bad defenses. Good offense is my derriere. Good offense is my bad defenses. Some of them can't even play offense. Baylor. Horrible. So, Caleb, BYU, what are your thoughts on BYU Cinderella season?
I don't know if it's Cinderella season. I mean, they just looking good. I can't really tell much from beating this crap Pac-12 teams.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have their quarterback Jared Hall. It was Gunnar Romney. That was the starting quarterback. But it was really more about Tyler Algieri. If people watched the Arizona State game a couple weeks ago, Tyler Algieri was the running back who ran down the Arizona State defender, forced the fumble when he jumped in the air and punched it and gave it right back to Utah. So, and he just bullied Utah State for 218 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he brings up his total to 569 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns through 7 games. Like, unfortunately, but here's the thing: they don't qualify for a Group of 5 New Year's Bowl slot, but they can qualify for an at-large bid. And I think they're very good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be real with you. I love the Pac-12. I think BYU would win the Pac-12.
Well, that's not hard to do.
Well, it is very hard to do because they beat up on each other every single year. They play 9 games. It's extremely hard. Extremely. You know what's not hard? Winning the SEC, because Alabama does it every year.
Because they're the best team.
Yeah, that's a bad example to use. You know what's not it's so easy to use? The Big 12. Oklahoma wins it every year.
Not every year.
Every year. Literally, since the day I started following college football, it's been Oklahoma and everybody else.
We've won it a couple times.
What? The one year you screwed Nebraska out?
No.
Yes.
Won multiple times. Won in 09, 05, a million times.
What about that year you guys lost to Kansas State? Shout out to Darren Sproles. You don't remember that? No.
No.
Yeah. That's out of your memory, loser. All right,
I'm
Caleb, your
shut my.
thoughts. If your thoughts on BYU, man.
I don't know. I haven't watched any other games. I don't watch Pac-12 garbage football.
They're not a part of the Pac-12, you dipshit.
I know they. That you just said they play Pac-12. They play late at night. Like with this garbage football.
You're in Vegas. You can stay up and watch
Okay,
that game. It's
I
not
know.
Hawaii.
I know.
So
But I
watch
still
it.
watch them. I don't care about them. It's BYU. Bunch of Mormons over there.
Whoa. Hey. We're not gonna point out their religion. All right. Let them be Mormon, okay? Let them be
I'm not
Mormon,
saying they
okay?
can be Mormon. I'm just saying.
I don't think that's. I don't. How's that relevant to college football?
I don't know. I just had to throw something out there.
Is that because you're an idiot. You're stupid. You dummy, man. They're gonna be in the Big 12 in a couple of years, and they're gonna beat up on Texas, right?
They're not, when we're gone. What are you talking about? We're going to the SEC.
No. Well, you're not leaving until 2025.
Okay, they're not probably going to come till that then.
They're coming in 2023.
We'll probably be gone by then.
No. Well, are you gonna pay?
You don't know. You don't know.
You think Texas is gonna pay $75 million for a release? $75 million.
You don't know.
Yes, I do. That's financially stupid. Why would you pay $75 million to leave a conference? Just wait for your contract to expire. But here's the thing, Caleb. It's 75 per team. So Oklahoma has to pay 75 and Texas has to pay 75. You think they're going to pay $75 million?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see that.
It's not happening. Texas is going to face BYU, Cincinnati, USF, and Houston. Those four teams are going to beat Texas in a couple of years.
Maybe don't mean nobody. What the hell are you talking about?
They're going to beat them. Texas is going to have 4 losses. It's going to be all to those teams. All of them. Well, except UCF. UCF sucks. But you know what I mean? Well, no, they don't suck. All their players are injured. Don't kill me, Amber. But she's going to kill me. She's going to kill me.
She does.
They're just injured. They're injured right now. They're not very good. But Cincinnati's definitely going to beat Texas. BYU is definitely going to beat Texas.
I doubt that they're going to be. We're going to be then. And
yes, I think so. I think so. I mean, Caleb. Now let's talk about this team that's just hanging at number 11. This team, it's like this Michigan State, unranked, beat the living snot out of Miami, and you start beating up on people. You know, they beat up on us with Northwestern. Like, it's Northwestern, but it is what it is. And what your thoughts on them? Because they beat Western Kentucky 48-31. It was, it's 17 points, closer than I thought. They gave up 31 points to Western Kentucky.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Your thoughts, my brother?
Well, the fact that they give 31 points, I guess our defense is not that good, which is weird because it's usually Big 10 teams who have good defenses. But I don't know. 5-0 look okay, but like you said, I don't know how you can talk about any teams that they don't play.
First, a bunch of teams are going to be 4 or 5-0 because you don't really know them.
Yeah,
just like the number 12 team.
All these teams start off with like cupcake teams, and we watch the big games. Like, we know those teams are good, but all these other teams that they come along later because they have like good undefeated records because they've played a bunch of nobodies. I don't know. I haven't watched their games because they played nobodies.
Yes, well, same thing. The number 12th ranked team in the nation, Oklahoma State, is 5-0. You don't really know nothing about them because they played nobody. They finally played. They played Baylor this week who was 21 in the nation, but they beat them 24-10. That's a good win. But you don't really know. And then the number 13 and 14 we talked about, which are Arkansas and Notre Dame. They lost, so they fell. And then here's the thing: at number 15. Good old Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, my dogs, my team, the Chanticleers with Grayson McCall and Jamie Caldwell, their coach.
You just like saying Chanticleers.
I love saying Chanticleers. Chanticleers. I think it's a rooster. The teal looks nice. You seen the teal? It looks very nice. I like it. And I root for these teams, these under the radar teams that no one really cares about, no one really talks about. And they're gonna go, they're gonna go 11-0 again, and they need to redeem themselves against Liberty because Liberty beat them last year.
Yeah.
And they need to redeem that. They need to be Liberty to show some redemption, and Grayson McCall needs to be a part of those because McCall went 33, 13 for 13 and against the beatdown of UNL Monroe. And the game was over by halftime because they ended up beating them 59-6. You're supposed to do that to teams that you're better than in the Sun Belt. And the Chanticleers did that. Caleb, your thoughts on the Chanticleers?
I have no thoughts on the Chanticleers.
You don't watch the Chanticleers?
I do not watch the Chanticleers.
You know what I need? Like Chanticleers created this rivalry with Kansas. Kansas had this 3-game deal where it was 2 at Kansas and 1 at the Chanticleers. They beat Kansas all 3 times, 3-0. And I need that game to happen every single year, because it's a great game. It's always a great game, and it's always like on like a random Friday. It's like the only game in town, and you watch it, and it's great. All right, Caleb. Now the number 16th ranked team in the nation. They jumped up from unranked to 16th because they beat the Florida Gators.
Yeah.
They beat them, and they beat them soundly because Kentucky a year ago gave up 25 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This year they're only giving up 16 points a game, and they reduced the yards from 380 to 284. Their defense is much improved. Mark Stoops is improving. Kentucky knows what they are. They're a fine football program, but they're not a football school. They're a basketball school. So being good enough for bowl games and consistently winning is okay with them. And that's what Mark Stoops does because they know what they are. The teams like Texas A&M don't know what they are, and they think they're national title contenders, but they're not. They try to be, but they never succeed. And they have high expectations on them that they always fail up to. Mark Stoops knows what he's got. The admin knows what they got, and they beat Florida again. After 20 years of not beating Florida, they beat Florida, 2 out of the last 5 years? Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the Kentucky Wildcats?
They got a hell of a defense. I mean, like you just said, I mean, they balled out. They held them to 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
Florida, I mean, that's pretty damn good, man. They looking really, really, really good. And for an unranked team, like they to go in and beat number 10 ranked team like that, and they doing something. They look different than normally do because they usually suck.
That's true. That's true, man. That's true. All right, but next week they're against the LSU Tigers, and they have played LSU twice since 2008, and LSU has beaten them by a combined score of 76-10. We'll see if the revenge tour for Kentucky continues to LSU. Now, Caleb, let's get to number 17. We already talked about number 17. It is the Ole Miss Rebels. We already talked about them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a disappointment. Lane Kiffin, all his yapping, couldn't fall through. Your thoughts on them? Just give me a little thought on them.
I can't say that they're like bad or anything. You lost to Alabama, and they're still a good team. So solid teams, it's still a good offense because they give no offense. So I'm not going to take away from they're all this perfect team now. Like no, you played Alabama. See you going forward. Probably turn around and beat up on the next team you play. I mean,
they're against.
It didn't change my opinion of him. You know.
Well, next week it's the battle of the losers against Georgia and Alabama. Arkansas and Ole Miss will be against next week, so it's going to be a bounce back game for both teams. It's who is going to do the bounce backing. Is it Ole Miss or is it Arkansas? We'll see. Lane Kiffin or Sam Pittman, and it's going to be a great game as well. Now, Caleb, number 18, we actually watched this team play together. It was us and Justin against the Auburn Tigers, and Bo Nix with his Fran Tarkington impression, running around, throwing the ball left and right.
Yeah.
And he threw for 255 yards. He rushed for 74 yards, and he just won the game. He won the game. He didn't wow you with the stats. He just won the game. Your thoughts on the game as we were watching it, Caleb?
That he was doing ridiculous plays like that first one was that he got out and he goes to the side and he throws it like that. That was ridiculous. That was a ridiculous play. Obviously, I was hoping they would lose just to rub it in Justin's face.
Mm-hmm.
But they play pretty well, man. LSU did since winning the national championships hasn't got back to that level. I mean, I don't know what it is. I would guess it was just it really just was Joe Burrow and Joe Brady and Ed
Magic.
Orgeron can't get it back together.
It was magic, man. It was magic. It was magic, and you can't get
Yeah.
the magic back.
And for Bo Nix to bounce back after being pulled the week before, I mean that you got to give him credit for that. I mean,
Hmm.
I thought they were going to go without the guy for this game. They put in
Yeah,
Bo Nix, they trusted him, and it worked out for them.
yeah. It was a redemption for Bo Nix, is what it was. It was, and like watching the game with Justin, you can hear he was yelling in my ear, yelling in Adelia's ear, yelling in your ear. Like I'm never watching an Auburn game with Justin. It's not happening because it's extremely loud, very very boisterous. That man. I killed man, the 19th ranked team in the nation. A team that we usually don't see. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons are 5-0, and they're the only undefeated team in the ACC. They're 5-0 right now. Their schedule's going to get much more difficult because next week they're going to Syracuse. So they'll probably be 6-0. But here's the thing. The Syracuse Carrier Dome is very special and ripe for upset. Ask Clemson. Ask Clemson about the Syracuse Carrier Dome. You know what I mean? With Trevor Lawrence, with all people, and they look good. I don't know anything about them because they haven't played anyone of note. They barely beat Louisville by 3, so I'm not gonna co-sign them for being the underdog because like how I co-signed Coastal Carolina in Cincinnati. But I'm watching the Demon Deacons. Shout out to Mark Ellis. I'm watching the Demon
You know,
Deacons. Caleb, your thoughts on the Demon Deacons?
like I said, I mean, I haven't really watched them. I mean, they haven't played nobody, so
Mhm.
I can't really make an opinion. You know, I haven't played nobody until they play someone. And I can say whether they're good or not because um I don't know. They ranked highly. They're a ranked team. That's all we're gonna say.
Yeah. All right, now, Caleb, let's move on. We talked about them earlier. The Florida Gators. They're up against Vanderbilt this week. Well, this coming week, it's gonna be. They're gonna win the game because it's Vanderbilt. But they need to switch to
They do.
Anthony Richardson, Anthony
Yeah.
Michael Richardson.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
love
mean,
I
they
love.
shouldn't.
What's up,
Yeah.
Caleb?
No. After the Alabama game, obviously you saw Emory Jones looking good. You didn't need a switch,
Mm-hmm.
even though you lost. But I mean, gave Alabama their best game. But now you lost to Kentucky. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You,
now it's time.
you
Like, it's time to wrap it up. Let's see
yeah
something different now.
because he couldn't consistently keep it. He just couldn't consistently keep it. And I think Dan Mullen was like, okay, good. We lost to Alabama, good. And people aren't hating on Emory Jones. And we're gonna beat Kentucky the next week. But they lost to Kentucky. And people are now they want Anthony Richardson. They want Anthony Richardson in the
Yeah.
game because he's more dynamic than Emory Jones. He's 6'5" and run like a damn cheetah. You know what I mean? Like it's his throwing that people are worried about. Emory Jones has just been there for long, and I think Dan Mullen is he promised Emory, and he's using Emory. And I think this game Emory's gonna start and he's gonna beat Vanderbilt, and then he's gonna probably beat the following person too, because it's Vanderbilt. You know what I mean? Like who cares? Like Emory Jones can start against Vanderbilt. That's what they did against Bennett started against UAB. They didn't need JT Daniels. They don't need Anthony Richardson for this game. They'll start Emory Jones against Vanderbilt, and they need to look because Georgia's coming up every year. Georgia, Florida, and you need to make the choice. Is Emory Jones going to be your starter, or you're going to go to Anthony Richardson? Because people are like, "Yo, Anthony Richardson is like Tim Tebow, jacked up to 11." And if you're telling me that, then you better switch. That's all I gotta say. I kill before now the number 21st ranked team in the nation, a team you know very closely, near and dear to your heart. You're wearing their hat. The Texas Longhorns. They beat TCU 32-27. Bijan Robinson had 216 yards, 35 carries, and you guys are apparently 6-0 when you at least rush when he rushes for more than 100 yards. When he gets going, y'all are undefeated. What did you see in this game that is promising for the following games this season?
That dude is incredible, man. That dude should be in the Heisman conversation. Dude doesn't go down after the first hit. He bounces off everybody like a damn pinball. Like it's it's ridiculous. Like he can. It's not just his power. Like he has elusiveness too. Like he's juking out dudes. He's making moves that look so smooth. I mean, he's ridiculous, man. I mean, this is something I never even seen, man. I mean, we had some good running backs at Texas, but goddamn, this dude's good.
He is.
Like,
He's very good.
but
Very good.
what I didn't like is that we turned the ball over consistently, and in this game we got like 3 turnovers, and we were kicking a bunch of field goals. We were not scoring in the red zone. We weren't stopped in the red zone. We just weren't doing anything, man. And that was kind of making me. And we kept. And that's what game. It should have been a blowout. This game should have been a blowout, and it was because we kicked a bunch of field goals and we got stopped on the 4th down, and then let him go. TCU go down the field and score a touchdown, which made it a 5-point game. But really, it really should have been a blowout if we scored touchdowns on those times that we were in the red zone. We just got stopped. I don't know. Sarkisian is supposed to be an offensive expert, and to not be able to get in the red zone is pretty concerning. In the first quarter, it was kind of that Big 12 defense, and it was like 23-17, like that. But then we started playing a little better on defense, started stopping a little more. So I was, and one thing that TCU, we're bad against TCU. We are really, really bad against TCU for some odd reason. No matter if they're good or we're bad, mostly because we've been bad for since they've been in the Big 12. But it doesn't matter if they're bad too. We still end up losing to them. Like we've only been in like twice since they've been in the Big 12. And but yeah, so this I was afraid of this game because of that reason. But since we beat them pretty good, I'm happy about that. You know, that's pretty surprising to see.
You think the U.S. overlooked them because of Oklahoma?
This week or like just in
No, like this week. Because other years they were better than you. Like they beat you soundly. This year they're not better than you. TCU's not better than you this year.
No. Like I said, we should have won easily. This game was a lot. The score was close, but if we had converted on those red zone opportunities and those turnovers, and it wouldn't have been close. So I don't think we overlooked TCU. I think we're ready for them. I think we really won this game because they know the history between these two teams that we haven't been winning these games, but to come out and win this game, I think it means a lot for this team.
Well, yeah, man. Well, the next week it's the Red River Shootout, baby. Hook'em versus Boomer Sooner. And let's see if it's going to be another great game because last year, man, it went to 4 overtimes. That was wild. Wild. Did you watch that game, Caleb, last year?
Oh, that was a great game.
That was wild.
I mean, the ending wasn't great, but it was a great game.
Yeah, man. I had a heart attack. I had like 3 heart attacks during that game. I was like, oh my God. I died and came back to life. I died and came back to life, man. All right, man.
And our defense, I mean, our defense is playing pretty well. Like, if we had that defense last year, I think we could have won that, especially with Sam Allen.
I think you're gonna win. Well, I think you're gonna win this year's edition because Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma, like, it's enough for me, dog. Like, you don't know what the hell you are. Like, you don't know. Like, you know what I mean? And he has no he has no confidence. He's shot, and it doesn't help that your student body's booing you.
That was funny.
We want Caleb. Like that's gonna screw with you, dude. You know, and Caleb Williams is just on the sideline like, yo, man, I'm minding my own business. I'm minding my business, man. Don't get me in trouble. I ain't done nothing. But yeah, man, like that screws with you. That screws with you. Even though the team is backing him up, like, oh, we love you, Spencer, blah, 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 blah. Man, the fans hate your guts. Your home fans, not opposing fans. Your home fans don't want you to start anymore. It's not that like Caleb Williams beat you, or it's like a Major Applewhite situation where like Major Applewhite came in the game and played good, and like him and Chris Sims were like fighting. They were literally like, we want the quarterback that's never played a single game. Give him the ball and let's see what he can do, because that guy is not good enough. You know what I mean? Like same thing with like Tua and Jalen. Like it's just like Tua and Jalen, because Tua like Jalen got pulled in the national title game and Tua just exploded. And then so it screws with your head. It screws with your head, man. I Caleb, we about to be the one of the last 4 teams of the top 25. The second to last team in the top 25 is really surprising, because I really enjoy them being in the top 25, because it's a warmness to my heart. But we'll talk about these two teams real quick. Arizona State beat UCLA 42-23, and the team that just beat Clemson on North Carolina State got bounced back, added to their resume. They beat Louisiana Tech 34-27. In the Arizona State game, it was all about Jaden Daniels. He had 300 passing yards. Like this time he had 286 passing yards, not 300. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The most he's thrown in the game since he beat Oregon, when he threw for 400 yards. So he looked very well. And they stopped UCLA to 23 points. Even when Fresno State beat UCLA scored 35 points. So their defense played very well. Your thoughts on that, Caleb?
I don't know what's happening with UCLA, man. They gave that hot start to beat LSU. That was a surprising win. And then since then, they've had these tough losses against good teams. I mean, you lose to Arizona State and Fresno State, 2 good teams in your own conference. So, Fresno State's in the other conference, but your West Coast teams. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with them. I thought Chip Kelly had them.
LSU's just bad. LSU's just horrible. That's why. Like it's not it's LSU just bad.
Yeah, so I thought this was the year Chip Kelly would get it going, but apparently not. It's the same old for them. Arizona State looked really good in this game. So, but again, I don't know what to say about the crappy pack.
How about North Carolina State, the Wolf Pack? Shout out to Thomas Harper. Your thoughts on the Wolf Pack, Caleb?
Who'd they play?
Louisiana Tech.
Louisiana Tech. What was the game they played? One of their games.
The previous week they beat Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson. That was the previous. That's the game I watched.
Yeah. What were your thoughts?
On this game, because I didn't see this game.
I didn't see this game?
No.
I didn't really either, honestly. But they beat Louisiana Tech, who's in the conference. I think it's like Conference USA. So they're a fine team, and they don't really tell you much. Their quarterback didn't have the best game, but he won the game, and it was closer than usual. It was by 7. It was 34-27. So it was a little too close for comfort. But now, Caleb, here's the team I want to talk about. The number 24th ranked team in the nation, 5-0. 5-0. And this is the team that I think Cincinnati needs to watch out for, because it is the one, the only. It is Pony Express itself. The SMU Mustangs, baby. The SMU Mustangs. They beat South Florida 41-17. And so next week, their starting linebacker, Delino Robinson Jr., he needs to be on high alert, because Navy's coming to town. And Navy ran for 348 yards against UCF, and they beat them. I'll say is this, man. The Mustangs are having 43 points a game and 550 yards a game as well. Tanner Mordecai, the guy from Oklahoma, who moved over because of Spencer Rattler, he's thrown 24 touchdown passes. 24 touchdown passes. He's tied with the most touchdown passes through 5 games with Geno Smith Graham Harrell, BJ Simons, and they're looking good, man. I'm excited, baby. The reason I love the SMU Mustangs, I've always loved them, is because of the 30 for 30. Just, you know what I mean? Just the aura of them is just beautiful and amazing. The history, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. They cheated, but who cares? They didn't do anything wrong. Let's be real here. They did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong. They paid the kids properly. And you know what's crazy too, man? Like, but here's the thing too, man. They even paid the kids that didn't really play well. You know what I mean? The famous phrase, Sherman Kirkwood, what's his name? I think Sherman something Wood or Sherman. Hold up, I gotta find his name because I gotta give him the proper respect. Sherman. Sherman. Damn it. Sherman Blunt. That guy. The famous phrase, Caleb. You ever watched that? You watched the 30 for 30, right, Caleb? The famous phrase Sherman Blunt. The famous phrase Sherman Blunt said. He was talking to the governor of Texas. It's like, Governor, I understand what you're talking about. I get it. But unfortunately, we got a payroll to meet. This man was like, we have a payroll to meet. We got to pay these kids because we promised these kids money. You know how much, like, he could have stopped the money and anyone could have moved on and nothing would have happened. But Sherman Blunt was like, Sherwood Blunt, I think, was like, nah, we promised the kids money. We're going to give these kids money. Payroll needs to be met. And I've been waiting for him to come back ever since I watched that documentary. And I think they can, man. I think they can. I believe in them. And I think that team is Cincinnati needs to watch out. Because if they don't take this team seriously, Cincinnati could lose. And here's another team Cincinnati also needs to find out. It's the teams in their conference, Memphis and them. Memphis is always hanging around Cincinnati. They almost beat them a couple of times, and I think they have beaten them a couple of times. And this team, the SMU Mustangs, Pony Express, baby, it's coming back. Caleb, what about you, baby?
I mean, I hope it does. I mean, I like SMU. Obviously, I like a lot of Texas teams, so I'm rooting for them.
Their jerseys are so nice. They're just so clean. You know what I mean? The white with the red. They just look sexy. They just look sexy, man. I love jerseys. And they have great jerseys. I want an SMU jersey with Dickerson on it. Or James. No. McElhaney. I want a McElhaney jersey. Give me a McElhaney jersey, baby. I want a McElhaney jersey. How about you, Caleb?
No, I don't need an SMU jersey.
Thomas McElhaney. SMU. Whatever. But Caleb, all right, now Caleb, we're about to head off. Let's do our last team of the week. They didn't play this week, so they stayed 4-0, and they stayed at number 25. Actually, they were from unranked to number 25. It is the San Diego State Aztecs, and they're one of the best teams on the West Coast constantly. Brady Hoke's second season in San Diego. They lost their start. Yeah, that's where he went. He went back to San Diego State. Greg Bell, their starting running back, actually exited the previous game with an injury, but in the fourth game, Chance Bell, Keyjon Williams, and Jordan Bird each out 75 yards, and they just did their thing. They're facing the New Mexico this week. They're gonna beat New Mexico because it's New Mexico, and that's the way it is. Caleb, your thoughts on the San Diego Aztecs?
Well, I don't like them because they always beat UNLV. So,
well, UNLV stinks.
But everybody, I know.
So who cares? Yeah, everyone beats UNLV.
I don't like seeing
Lance McElhaney. His name is Lance McElhaney. Lance McElhaney, bro. Shout out to Lance McElhaney, man. Shout out to Lance. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna end the show, Caleb. Shout out to Lance McElhaney. I hope you and your family are doing good. Shout out to Pony Excess or Express and
Wait,
Excess.
we got to do the Thursday night picks.
Ah, yes, the Thursday night picks. Let's end it on the Thursday night picks. This week, Rams, Seahawks, this Thursday night game. The Rams look to bounce back after the butt whooping the Cardinals gave them. I think the Cardinals may win the division, Caleb. They may win the division.
Looks like it.
Yeah, it looks like it. And
Looks
the
like
Seahawks. Did the Seahawks win? Let me see if did the Seahawks win last
Seahawks
week?
did
Caleb?
win. Seahawks
Who did they
won
beat?
last week.
Oh, they beat
They beat the Niners.
They beat the Niners. Yes, yes. The Niners. Jimmy Garoppolo got injured. Trey Lance came in. They didn't really do anything with Trey Lance. They kind of just like floated him away. So Caleb, Thursday night game, Seahawks Rams. Who we got?
I got the Seahawks, and because the Rams look like crap, they got their ass kicked by the Cardinals. Like I said, because Stafford is not a good quarterback, and you keep saying he's a good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback, and he proved it when he plays good teams. Again, big games, he can't do it. And this is a big game against a good team, against maybe not a whole good team, but they got Russell Wilson playing his ass off with not much around him. Oh, he gets good offense, but defense looks like garbage, and he's still winning games, and they're gonna win this game because Matthew Stafford sucks. That's pretty much why. And they showed that their defense gets exposed by a good running quarterback. Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson pretty much play similar games, and if they can't handle Kyler Murray, they ain't gonna handle Russell Wilson, and they're gonna get beat.
All right, guys, we've gotten to the better rivals portion of the show because you're fucking wrong. Just wrong. I mean, anyone can have a bad game. Everyone has a bad game.
He said two bad games. He got a bad game against the Colts. He looked like shit too.
They won.
Oh yeah, they won in spite of him. Because Cooper
Brady
Kupp got open like 500 times. Cooper Kupp has been open.
That's why they're going to win the game. Cooper Kupp will always be open all the time. Number 10, give him the ball, especially for my fantasy team. So just give him the ball and we're good. Here's the thing, Caleb. Tom Brady played like shit last week too. Does he suck?
Oh, it's Tom Brady. Matthew Stafford has shown suckage his whole career.
Well, so have the Texas Longhorns. So you shut your mouth.
What are you talking about?
Is going to bounce back. Matthew Stafford is going to bounce back, man. He has a howitzer for arm. He is very smart. I believe in Matthew Stafford. He's going to have a great game. You want to bet on it?
No, I'm done betting with you.
Why? Because you'll always lose.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, what's the you want to bet the spread? What's the spread? What's the line? What's the line?
Shit, I got
look it up.
I got it right here. I got it right here. Just need to find it. Let's see. Last minute. It's 2.5.
I know. Fuck that.
So
I'm not doing that
2.5.
shit. Yeah, I'm not doing that shit. Wait, no, I'll take the over.
Points, really?
I'll take the over. I'll take the over. Rams beat them by more than 2.5.
That's not the over. Stop getting the over confused. The over is the total.
I'll take the 2.5. They're it's gonna be more than 2.5. What do you call that?
You're just laying the points.
No, but they're not gonna. Wait, so what does it mean under 2 points?
There's no under. The over and under is the total.
Okay, fine. I'll take the 2.5. I'll take it. You want to bet me 2.5?
You're laying the 2.5.
Yes. $10. $10 on the 2.5. Why you don't want to do this? Yeah, because you're a loser.
No.
Unlike Matthew Stafford, who's gonna win this game on Thursday night. Book it, Adelia.
He's not gonna win because he don't win. He's not a winner. He's a loser. He's a loser.
The Rams will win this game. Who's at home?
The Rams.
Who's at home? The Rams are at home?
Or no, the Seahawks are home. It's Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks are home underdogs. That's why they're gonna win.
You know what? We're gonna agree to disagree. All right, we'll end the show on a disagreement because apparently we're always gonna end the show on a disagreement because you are just wrong, sir. Wrong again.
Stafford lover.
Damn right I do. I love Matthew Stafford. I would love him.
Disgusted with yourself liking that loser.
You know, you should be disgusted with yourself liking the Cowboys. You're from Vegas.
We're winners.
Be a Raiders fan.
Okay,
Be a
I was born
Raiders
in
fan.
Texas. I was born
Yeah,
in
you were like
Texas.
there for like yeah, and I was born
I
in
was
Yemen.
born in Texas.
Well, I
Okay,
was
they don't have a
was
team.
not
They don't have a
there
team.
isn't
So pick whoever you
they don't
want.
have a team. They don't have a team. Exactly. Loser. All right.
Loser. That's a
Shut your
Stafford
mouth, sir.
loser.
You're a loser. All right. On that note, everyone would like to thank you for this for coming to this episode of the college football roundup on Good Friends Better Rivals, presented by the Highlights division of Let's Get Ready Network. Make sure to like this video, guys, when you're watching this. Make sure to comment how much Caleb is wrong all the time and how much his head is stupid, even though Texas is going to win next week. But that's not the point. Also, we're on the audio feeds. The link will be in the description. Caleb, where can people find you, my brother?
You can find me at NFL22 on social media. Let's Get Ready Network.com. I have my betting articles. Went 4-1 this week. 4-1. So you better read them if you want to make some money.
Exactly. Guys, and I'm Ferris Blunt. You can find me at Ferris Blunt on Twitter. Also, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, I will be doing my radio show on KSFS. So make sure to tune that in. I'll tweet out a link for everyone to see. And if you're in our Discord, I'll drop the link in our promo section. So that is that. Again, I'd like to thank you guys for watching us. Much love to everybody who supports the shows, especially this show, because this is my labor of love. Like, I thought of Good Friends Better Rivals a while back. Me and Caleb did like an inaugural show on stereo, but we moved it to YouTube, and I really appreciate you guys for watching. And on that note, have a wonderful night again, and stay safe.